Hello everyone! We're going to look at comparing fractions again today. So let's review a few of our strategies and ways that we can compare fractions. So let's start off with some fractions. 2/6 and 3/4. So first I want you to think, how do the numbers in the fractions, your numerators and your denominators, how do their amounts relate to each other? What is the difference between the numerator and the denominator? Are they close in their values or are they far apart from each other? So let's look at 2/6. So this is divided into 6 pieces, but we only have 2 of them. So let's think, is 2 a number that is close to 6 or is it far away? So does that make this fraction about 1/2 or closer to 0 or closer to 1/2? So think, how does that numerator relate to that denominator? I know that 1/2 of 6, 6 divided by 2, equals 3. Or 3 plus 3 is 6. So 3/6 is equal to 1/2. But here, my numerator says 2, and 2 is less than 3. So I know that 2/6 is less than 1/2. Now let's look at our fraction 3/4. We have a denominator of 4, so it's divided into 4 parts. And remember, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the piece. So 4ths are bigger pieces than 6ths. Now look at our numerator. We have a numerator of 3. So is 3 a number that's close to 4? Do they have a big difference or a small difference? I know 3 is just 1 away from 4. So 3/4 is really almost close to 1/2. Let's compare it to the fraction 1/2. I'm going to find half of my numerator, 4. 4 divided by 2 gets us 2. Or 2 plus 2 is 4. So I know that 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4. And our fraction says 3/4, and our numerator 3 is greater than 2. So 3/4 is greater than 2/4. So now I'm going to put our symbol between these. Is 2/6 greater than, less than, or equal to 3/4? Remember your symbols. Greater than, less than, or equal to. I know that 2/6, that's less than half. It's a little bit closer to 0. That is less than 3/4. Let's list a few more ways that we can compare fractions. If I were to compare fractions, we could compare them on a number line. Let's use the fractions 1/2 and 3/4. Let's draw 1/2 on a number line. So label your number line. We need to divide it into 2 parts. Here is 1/2. Now let's place 3/4 on our number line. So which fraction is closer to 1/2, 1/2 or 3/4? or which is the farthest away from 0? That would be 3/4. So 1/2 is less than 3/4. We could also draw pictures to help us have a visual model of these fractions. Let's take the same fractions, 1/2 and 3/4. Now I'm going to shade in 1/2 of our circle. Now we'll draw another shape, but divide it into fourths. And even though fourths might be smaller pieces, we still have more of them. We have more pieces. So let's think, would you rather have half of a pizza or 3/4 of a pizza? So 1/2 is less than 3/4. And finally, one last quick check, just to check that we're on the right track and to make sure we're looking at it correctly, is to cross multiply. So if I were to take 1/2 and 3/4, we're going to circle the opposite numerators and denominators in each fraction, like this. And now we multiply. 2 times 3, what's our product for 2 times 3? 6. Now we do the same thing. 4 times 1 is 4. So 6 represents a fraction 3/4. 4 represents a fraction's 1/2. Now we can compare these values. And we know that 4 is less than 6, so 1/2 is still less than 3/4. Now let's look at our activity for today. And let's do a few together. I'm going to start with number 2. Imani ate 2/3 of a pizza and her friend Maya ate 3/6 of a pizza. Which statement is true about the amount of pizza the two girls ate? So reread and look back at your question. Which statement is true about the amount of pizza the two girls ate? Let's take a look at our fractions. 2/3 and 3/6. I'm going to rewrite them here. 2/3 and 3/6. This is E's and M's for their names. So let's look at our answer choices and test them out and see what we think. Choice A. E and Maya ate an equal amount of pizza. We see that word equal, it's saying these fractions are the same amount. So it's saying 2/3 is equal to 3/6. These are not equivalent fractions. Choice B. Maya ate more pizza than E. So this is saying that 3/6 is greater than, is more than 2/3. Let's take a look at this fraction 3/6. What is the relationship between 3, our numerator, and 6? What is the difference between 6 and 3? 3 is exactly half of 6, so this is equal to 1/2. So we're comparing 2/3 to 3/6, or 1/2. Let's take a look at this fraction 2/3 now. We have that denominator 3. Is 3 an even number? 3 is not an even number, so it's a little bit harder to think about what is half of 3. But let's think about it. We know that 1 plus 1 gets us 2. We know 2 plus 2 gets us 4. And 3 is between 2 and 4. So half of 3 is going to be between 1 and 2. So we know that 1.5, or 1 5/10 plus 1 5/10 will get us 3. And is our numerator 2 greater than 1 5/10? Yes, it is. So 1.5 is exactly half of 3. And 2, our numerator, is greater than 1.5. So 2/3, that's a little bit more than 1/2. And our answer choice is saying that 3/6 is greater than 2/3. But is that true? We can cross multiply to check. So we know 3 times 3 is 9. Now let's cross multiply over here. 6 times 2 is 12. So 12 represents 2/3, 9 represents 3/6. And we were on the right track because 12 is greater than 9. So let's look back at our answer choice. Maya ate more pizza than Imani. Is that true? No. Choice C. Imani ate less pizza than Maya. So this is saying 2/3 is less than 3/6. Is that true? No. Or choice D. Maya ate less pizza than Imani. Yes, because 3/6 is less than 2/3. Okay, let's look at a couple more questions together. Number 3. Trinity made a rubber band bracelet. Half of her bracelet is green, and 1/3 of her bracelet is red. The rest of the bracelet is blue. Which statement is a true comparison of the amount of green and red rubber bands used in her bracelet? So let's look at this word problem. Our question, which is a true comparison of the amount of green and red rubber bands used in her bracelet? So this is asking about the green and red. So we don't need to know that the rest is blue. Let's look at our fractions. 1/2 is green. And this 1/3 is red. Over here in our answer choices, we see this with the colors. So remember which fraction goes with which color. Green is 1/2. And 1/3 is red. I can color code this. Now I'm going to write it over here. 1/2 and 1/3. Oops. So now we can compare our fractions. So is green 1/2 less than red 1/3? These both have a numerator of what? What is our numerator for these fractions? They both say 1. So when we have the same numerator, we compare the denominator. And remember, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the piece. So 1/2 is going to be greater than 1/3, not less than. Red is greater than green for choice B. So this says 1/3 is greater than 1/2. No. 1/3 red is less than 1/2 green. Yes. And choice D says these are equivalent fractions, and that's not true. Okay. Let's look at number 10. Michael was downloading 15 songs to his MP3 player. After 15 minutes, he had downloaded 2/3 of the songs. Which statement is true about the amount of songs Michael has downloaded so far? So, let's look at that total amount of songs. 15 songs in 15 minutes. And our fraction says, how much did he download? 2/3. Which statement is true about the amount of songs he has downloaded so far? So, our fraction says 2/3. Now it's taking the number of songs, 15, so you really don't need to know that information for the minutes, and it's divided them into thirds. So let's look at our answer choices and see what they say. Choice A, Michael still needs to download 1/2 of the songs. This says 1/2. If we add 1/2 to this, would that work? In another problem, we talked about half of 3. Half of 3 is 1/2. And our numerator says 2, and 2 is greater than 1/2. So that's not true. Answer choice B. Michael has downloaded more than half of the songs. So we just decided that 2 is greater than 1/2. So that's a little bit more than 1/2, so that could be it. Let's come back to it. Answer choice C. Michael has downloaded more than 5/6 of the songs. And answer choice D. Michael still needs to download 3/4 of the songs. Okay, so this says he has downloaded more than 5/6 of the songs. We can double check and compare 2/3 to 5/6. And we're looking for their values. I'm going to cross multiply to compare. 3 times 5 is 15. 6 times 2 is 12. So 15 is greater than 12, so that means 5/6 is greater than 2/3. So it's not more than that whenever this is greater than our fraction of the songs. Michael still needs to download 3/4 of the songs. So 3/4, I know that 3 is just 1 away from 4. Those are very close amounts. So this is almost equal to 1 whole. It's very close to 1 whole. But 2/3 is also close to 1 whole. And how many more thirds does he need to get to 1/2 or to 3/3. He would only need 1 more third. So to check for answer D, I can take 1/3 and compare it to 3/4. Let's cross multiply to check. 4 times 1 is 4. 3 times 3, our product for 3 times 3 is 9. So these do not have the same values. 9 is greater than 4. He only has 1/3 left to download, not 3/4, so that can't be it. So we want to go with answer choice B. Okay, guys. Y'all are doing great. Keep up the good work. Let me know if you have any more questions. I included number 6 on here really quick to show you. Whenever you see fraction models like this, I want you to write the fraction out here to the sides for it, okay? Don't leave it blank. Be sure to show all of your work and use your good strategies. Y'all are doing great.